Day 2 of the highly anticipated trial of Shaun Diddy Combmes took a shocking turn as his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, stepped onto the stand to reveal a side of the music mogul the world has never seen before. Cassie, calm and visibly pregnant, was ready to share 10 years of turmoil hidden behind closed doors. The courtroom was silent, everyone sensing that what was about to be revealed could shatter the carefully crafted image of a hip-hop titan. Combmes, known for building an empire that spanned music, fashion, and media, entered the courtroom that day looking confident and composed, but as Cassie's testimony unfolded, that confidence began to crumble. This wasn't just another celebrity trial, this was a dramatic unraveling of power, control, and secrets that had long been buried. Cassie Ventura takes the stand. Day 2 of the highly anticipated trial of Shaun Diddy Combmes took a shocking turn as his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, stepped onto the stand to reveal a side of the music mogul the world has never seen before. Cassie, calm and visibly pregnant, was ready to share 10 years of turmoil hidden behind closed doors. While the world knew Combmes as a kingmaker and hip-hop mogul with a flawless public image, Cassie's testimony began peeling back the layers to expose a darker reality. She painted a picture of a man who controlled every aspect of her life, from what she wore to who she saw, manipulating her emotionally and physically. Her revelations detailed stalking-like surveillance, where Combmes allegedly tracked her every move and isolated her from friends who might encourage her to leave. The abuse escalated, with Cassie recounting being pushed downstairs and choked to near unconsciousness, shocking details that left the courtroom in stunned silence. The defining moment came when Cassie described a violent episode at the Four Seasons Hotel. She shared bruises and a split lip from that night, explaining how Combmes trapped her for more than 48 hours while destroying the hotel room in a terrifying rage. Photos she took of her injuries, shaky and raw, brought the grim reality home, visibly affecting the jurors. Presenting an array of evidence, texts, emails, and photos, Cassie systematically dismantled the facade Combmes had maintained for decades. Her revelations included messages from celebrities and industry insiders expressing concern over his behavior, contradicting his public denials of any wrongdoing. As the evidence mounted, Combmes crumbled in court, visibly shaken and at times unable to control his reactions. His lawyers' desperate efforts to block damaging evidence failed, only spotlighting the cracks in his defense. In a stunning outburst, he was restrained by his own team after shouting over explosive recordings played in court. This trial has become a watershed moment, not just for the allegations, but for what it means to Diddy's legacy. The mogul who once seemed untouchable now faces an empire and reputation potentially irreparably damaged by the truths out in the open. Cassie Ventura's courageous testimony has shattered the image of a hip-hop titan and cast a long shadow over his empire. The court has heard the story behind the headlines, leaving us all to wonder, can power and fame truly shield a person from the truth? Behind the public image. Combmes, known as a kingmaker and hip-hop mogul, had carefully crafted a polished public image, but Cassie's testimony exposed a much darker reality of psychological and physical control that contradicted everything fans and the media thought they knew. Behind the scenes, the man who built an empire was reportedly manipulating every aspect of Cassie's life, from what she wore, to who she could see, and even how she was expected to behave. The contrast between his public persona and private actions was stunning, revealing a man who exerted ruthless control. Cassie described years of feeling isolated and controlled, where decisions were no longer hers to make. This wasn't just about fame or power, but about a deeply troubling abuse of authority within a relationship. The shining lights of success hit a world of fear and submission, where Cassie was expected to comply with demands she didn't fully understand at the time. As the courtroom heard her story, the carefully maintained image of calm, collected mogul began to crack and crumble, revealing the harsh truth lurking beneath. The public had long celebrated Combs's business acumen and influence, but this testimony challenged those perceptions brutally, forcing everyone to question what really happens behind closed doors in the world of fame and fortune. These revelations painted a complex picture of power dynamics, vulnerability, and control, making it clear that not everything is as glossy as it appears on the surface. Control and abuse unveiled. Cassie described constant surveillance, emotional manipulation, and severe physical assaults that escalated over the years. She testified about being monitored, isolated from friends, and subjected to terrifying incidents, including being pushed downstairs and choked until unconscious. She revealed how Combmes allegedly installed tracking software on her phone, calling her minutes after she arrived somewhere, proving he knew exactly where she was at all times. Friends were gradually cut off, leaving her isolated until he was all she had. The power dynamic was overwhelming as he controlled her career, threatening to sabotage collaborations and shove her music if she didn't comply. Cassie also spoke about psychological abuse, revealing a disturbing practice called freak-offs. These involved voyeurism, where she was pressured to engage with others sexually, under his direction, to please him. At times, she confessed to feeling dirty and trapped in these acts, wanting to please Combs despite her reluctance. The court heard harrowing accounts of physical aggression, where she was bashed, dragged, kicked, and stomped while down. She described incidents of being choked to the point of near unconsciousness, only stopped when she went limp. This testimony laid bare a stark contrast to Combs' public image, exposing a deeply disturbing pattern of control and abuse behind closed doors, shaking the courtroom and challenging everything known about the hip-hop mogul. The shocking hotel incident. The moment that stunned everyone was Cassie's detailed account of a violent episode at the Four Seasons Hotel. She testified about bruises, a split lip, and being trapped for over 48 hours as Combs unleashed a destructive rage that involved throwing bottles and damaging property. Cassie explained how a normal industry after-party turned into a nightmare. According to her testimony, Combs became enraged after seeing her talking to another music executive. His smile disappeared, and he grabbed her arm so hard, it left marks. He whispered threats in her ear, all while maintaining his public face in front of others. The most terrifying part was when he literally dragged her through the hotel lobby to the elevators. She was crying, trying to pull away and make a scene that hotel security approached them. But the security guard backed off when he recognized Combs. He just asked if everything was okay, and when Combs said yes, the guard walked away without checking on her. Following this, Cassie's lawyer presented a series of images she had taken of herself the morning after the incident. These photos showed bruises on her arms, a split lip, and redness around her neck. They were shaky, taken in a bathroom mirror, adding to their disturbing nature. Cassie said she took them because she feared nobody would believe her otherwise. The photos struck a deep chord with the jury, with one female juror covering her mouth in shock and two male jurors turning their heads away. Diddy's legal team tried to block these photos from being shown, but the judge denied every objection and allowed the evidence. Cassie also described how Combs threw a champagne bottle at her head, missing by inches and shattering against the wall. The hotel room was wrecked in his rage, with a lamp broken, a table flipped, and a hole punched through the bathroom door. Most disturbingly, she claimed he prevented her from leaving the room for over 48 hours, confiscating her phone and threatening consequences if she tried to call for help. This shocking hotel incident had been kept secret for years out of fear for her career, safety, and disbelief that anyone would side with her over a powerful figure like Combs. But in that courtroom, she revealed it all without holding back, shattering the carefully maintained image of a music titan. The fallout and legal battle. As Cassie presented explosive evidence, including text messages, emails, and photos, Combs visibly deteriorated in court, struggling to maintain his composure. His legal team's desperate attempts to block evidence only heightened suspicion. The atmosphere in the courtroom shifted dramatically. What was once a confident and untouchable mogul appeared shaken and vulnerable. Each piece of evidence seemed to chip away at the carefully crafted image he had built over decades. The defense fiercely objected to many of Cassie's statements and exhibits, arguing procedural technicalities and questioning the authenticity of the materials. However, the judge repeatedly overruled these objections, allowing the prosecution to build a compelling narrative. This legal battle has become more than just a trial, it's a clash between two powerful narratives, one of a dominant industry titan and another of a woman finally breaking decades of silence. The defense is expected to argue that the relationship was consensual and that Cassie chose her path, but the evidence presented tells a different story, one of coercion, control, and fear. The tension in the courtroom grew as the defense scrambled to adapt to the unexpected weight of the prosecution's evidence. Meanwhile, the public watches closely, with every headline and every revelation reshaping Combs' legacy. This fallout is about more than legal consequences, it's about the unraveling of a carefully hidden truth. And the legal battle ahead promises to be as intense and consequential as the testimony that has already rocked the room. Celebrity witnesses and support messages. Cassie revealed messages from prominent artists and industry insiders who witnessed Combs' harmful behavior firsthand, contradicting his public denials. These weren't just random industry people either. According to court transcripts, these were some of Diddy's closest friends and business associates, people who had been in his inner circle for years who had seen things at private parties and backstage at events that the public never knew about. Diddy's face said it all. A person sitting in the gallery described him as looking physically ill when Cassie mentioned these celebrity witnesses. His legal team immediately jumped up, objecting loudly and demanding a sidebar with the judge. They argued these messages shouldn't be allowed as evidence, that they were hearsay, that they weren't properly submitted during discovery. The judge wasn't having it. After reviewing the messages in private, he returned to the courtroom and overruled all objections, calling the messages highly relevant to the case and allowing them to be entered into evidence. That decision alone caused Diddy to put his head in his hands. He knew what was coming. One by one, messages from famous names appeared on the courtroom screens. A major rapper had texted Cassie after a Grammy afterparty, "You okay? What I saw tonight wasn't right. You can stay at my place if you need to." A female pop star had written, "I've known him for 15 years, and I've never seen him act like that with anyone else. This isn't normal. Please call me." Most damaging were messages from a longtime producer who had worked with Diddy for decades. He had texted Cassie after witnessing an incident at a studio. "I can't be around this anymore. I told him to get help. Call me when you're safe." These messages completely contradicted what Diddy had been saying publicly, that no one had ever witnessed inappropriate behavior, that these were private matters being twisted by Cassie. Now the court could see that people had witnessed incidents, had been concerned, had reached out to help her. Combs's breakdown in court. On day 2 of the trial, Combs showed a side of himself no one in the courtroom had ever seen before. The man who built an empire on his unshakable confidence suddenly appeared cornered and desperate. As Cassie Ventura laid out detailed allegations, his calm facade began to crumble, his reactions growing visibly erratic. He fidgeted nervously, twisting his tie, tapping his cufflinks, unable to sit still. The legal team scrambled, passing notes in a rapid exchange, one lawyer even raising a hand to slow the flow. It was as if he realized, for the first time in his life, he was losing control of the narrative. His face drained of color, he appeared physically ill, occasionally closing his eyes to avoid eye contact. As the testimony grew more intense, Combs slammed his hand on the courtroom table, the sound echoing sharply through the room. The judge immediately warned him, threatening removal if he couldn't regain composure. Yet, he continued shaking his head, mouthing denials at every damaging claim. When recordings of alleged threats were played, he erupted, shouting at Cassie, "You know that's not how it happened." His lawyers had to physically restrain him, pulling him back into his seat. This public unraveling was unprecedented for a man so used to control. As the court recessed, Combs was led away, no longer the confident mogul who entered that morning. Witnesses and observers were left in disbelief, witnessing the breakdown of a titan under pressure, exposing cracks in a carefully maintained legacy. What this means for Diddy's legacy. With the empire Combs built potentially crumbling, the question isn't just about the trial's outcome anymore, it's whether his carefully cultivated legacy can ever survive the damning testimony and evidence that have now become public. For decades, he was seen as an untouchable titan in the music industry, a man who not only shaped hip-hop but also turned it into serious business money. But with these revelations, that image has taken a massive hit, exposing a dark side of control and abuse far removed from his public persona. Fans, peers, and the industry alike are now forced to reconcile the man they admired with the disturbing allegations laid bare in court. The support he once commanded has visibly waned, with even members of his own entourage quietly leaving the courtroom as the evidence mounted. Legal experts suggest that regardless of the trial's verdict, the social and cultural fallout will continue to unfold, affecting future collaborations, business ventures, and public perception. Brands and partners may distance themselves, and Diddy's name could become synonymous with scandal rather than success. This case underscores how fragile fame and fortune really are when weighed against hard truth. It's a cautionary tale about the cost of power unchecked, and how even a legacy built over decades can unravel in a matter of moments. Ultimately, what the world witnessed in that courtroom might define Diddy's legacy for years to come, far beyond the music, the business, and the image he crafted so meticulously. Cassie Ventura's courageous testimony has shattered the image of a hip-hop titan and cast a long shadow over his empire. The court has heard the story behind the headlines, leaving us all to wonder, can power and fame truly shield a person from the truth? With each new allegation, with every piece of evidence, the carefully crafted persona of Shaun Diddy Combmes began to crumble. What was once a polished public face started to reveal cracks, exposing a darker, more troubling reality that many could not have imagined. The trial is no longer just about the legal outcome, but about how a legacy built on success, influence, and control faces the weight of undeniable truths. It raises critical questions about accountability, the price of silence, and the courage required to speak out against power. As the proceedings continue, the world watches closely, not just to see if Combs will win or lose this case, but to witness how this reckoning will redefine his place in the culture and industry he once dominated.